Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. The fly I'm going to tie for you today is kind of like a Czech style nymph. It's going to be a heavyweight fly. It's going to be a fly that you're going to put on more or less to get your line down without having to use weight, using your fly as your weight. I'm starting this out on a size 12 Daiichi 1120 scud hook, and then we're going to use a 5/32 size gold bead here to add some extra weight. Like I said, we want this bulky to get us down. And then I'm using .010 wire to wrap up the beginning here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up to the front. Get this on here. And push it up under the bead a little bit to hold the bead in place. And I'm actually going to come back and put like another little layer up front. I'm going to double this up, give it just a little bit more body. Oops. Like I said, I want it heavy, want to be able to get down with this fly. Okay. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is come in with my black thread. We're going to tie all this down. This pattern is going to have the same effect as like a woven nymph, except a lot easier to tie than a woven nymph. I'm going to build this up right here, right in the area where my lead starts, and I'm going to round that out so it's a nice smooth transition from my hook shank up onto the lead. Just build that up nice. And then we're just going to cover our lead up here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to put on is the tail. For the tail, I'm using a cocktail feather, a saddle feather. We sell these in the shop. These are great for tailing, especially on nymphs. The color I'm going to be using is a speckled fluorescent green. Just going to lay them on top here, tie them down. I don't want my tail too long. And pull them fibers off. Okay, next I'm going to put my ribbing on. For my ribbing, I'm using a chartreuse ultra wire size brassy. I'm going to tie it down. And back to the bend. Okay, for my next piece of material, I'm going to use just a yellow piece of foam. Okay, this is stuff you buy at your craft store. I believe this is 2M thick. Just a simple piece of craft foam. But I'm going to cut it real thin. Okay, I'm going to cut this about a 1/16 of an inch thick. Just real thin, and we're going to wrap it down. Okay, now I know you tie these. I use these to tie my like foam buddy. You can tie foam buddied ants, beetles, dry fly kind of flies. What we're going to do here in a second is going to take care of the floating part here. Plus all the weight that we put on this is going to sink it down. This is just a simple way to tie this. This is why I use it. Okay, we're going to tie it back here at the bend. We're going to bring it up here. We're going to wrap it on. It gives it a, when you pull this stuff and stretch it, it'll stretch out pretty thin, wrap pretty tight. Gives it a little bit of a rib. Okay, we're going to wrap it up about that far. We're going to tie that off. Now, like I said, we're not worried about this floating because here in a second I'm going to UV glue that down, and it's not going to go. It's not going to cause you to float. Okay, now I'm going to come back in with my green here, my chartreuse, and I'm just going to give this a nice rib so it has a nice visible rib to it. Just make sure you keep it nice and even. And then we're just going to bring this up and wrap it off. twist that around there, it'll pop right off for you. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a regular old black Sharpie and right over the back, just going to color his back. If you have a brown, would go nice on here too. I'm just going to bring it over the side just a hair. Just going to make a nice dark back on it. Okay, now here's why I said it's not going to float. We're going to take and we're going to cover this up, cover that porousness of the foam with some UV glue. We're just going to put a dab on top here. And we're going to take and we're going to spread that over the whole thing, over the whole body. Get this all around, get it coated. I don't want to add thickness to the fly, I just want to coat and protect that foam. Smooth it out here. There we go. And then we'll hit it with our UV glue to seal that glue up. Okay, now we're going to start building the front end on this fly. And what we're going to use is, I'm going to use a flashback on this. So the first thing I'm going to tie down is a piece of pearl tinsel. That's going to give me my flashback. Get that tied down. And then the next thing I'm going to come in with is a piece of brown scudback, 1/8 inch brown scudback. Okay, now we're going to tie the legs on this. The way we're going to tie that is we're going to dub in some fox squirrel dubbing. The way to make this the leggiest is to use a dubbing loop. And you see me do this in other videos. I do this a lot. I really like the fox squirrel. The fox squirrel hair really stands out when you make a dubbing loop. Like I said, you see, you're getting the profile of a Czech style nymph, like of a woven Czech style nymph, without all the weaving, without all the time involved in the weaving. So, I mean, this is a simple way to tie a Czech style nymph without the hassle of the weaving. Okay, you're going to put your fox squirrel in your loop there, twist your loop. When you twist it, it's going to make all those spiky guard hairs stand out. And then we're just going to dub that on. Wrap it up to the bead. We're going to tie this off. Then we're dubbing loop off. Now we're gonna want to make sure I get the spiky legs here. I want them down over the side. I don't want them trapped underneath my scud back here. So we'll push them down over the side, pull our scud back up. Keeping that centered. You always want it centered on top. Now I'm going to pull my flash back up over. Okay, and then we're going to put a wrap or two behind it, cut it off. And then same with my scud back. Tie my scud back down and trim it off. Okay, now I'm going to take my UV glue again. I'm going to knot this fly off. I'm going to put just a little dab of UV glue on here. Spread it out on my string. And then what I'll do is put about 2 wraps on it and then come in and whip finish. And as I'm whip finishing this around here, it'll take my whip finishes through that UV glue, which will spread the glue the whole way around my fly. Instead of having to put head cement on the wraps, it just wraps it around for me that way. Now I'm just gonna put a little bit of UV glue up on top of my pearl tinsel here, just to get a nice shell back cover on it there. Protect that. Smooth it out nice and smooth there. And then we're going to hit the shell back and the thread with our light. Lock that all in place. And just going to take my dubbing pick. If I see it here. There it is. And just pick out a little bit of this dubbing. Make sure it's out there nice and neat. It looks pretty good. Like I said, the dubbing loop with that fox squirrel nymph really helps it stand out. And you can see how simple that was. A very simple way to tie a pattern that'll work really well for you Czech nymphing, because you need flies to get you down deep. That's the Czech nymph style. This one will work great for that, and a lot simpler and a lot faster than tying a woven nymph pattern. I hope you enjoy this fly. It was an easy one for me to tie. I'll show you a woven nymph pattern here in the future, but this is just an easier, simpler, quicker way to tie it. If you enjoy it, make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I put a link on our videos now so you can do it real easy. And don't forget, most of the materials on these flies you can find at our website at holsingersflyshop.com. Thanks again for watching.